If you had to choose a single surface combatant to represent the modern German Navy, you'd quickly find that the right answer depends on the fight you're planning to win. The compact K130 Braunschweig-class corvette was purpose-built for the crowded, sensor-dense littorals of the Baltic and North Sea. The Type 123 Brandenburg-class frigate is a long-legged escort and anti-submarine hunter that keeps commerce moving in task groups safe over weeks, not hours. The Type 124 Sachsen-class is the air defense heavyweight whose very presence changes an entire formation's risk calculus by extending radar vision and raising a layered missile shield. Comparing them honestly means putting their hardware on the table: displacement, dimensions, propulsion, sensors, magazines, helicopters, and then translating those numbers into tactical effect. Do that, and the shape of each ship's value comes into focus for 2024 to 2025. Start with the K130, because so much of Europe's maritime friction sits inside the K130's design envelope. At full load, the Corvette displaces roughly 1,800 to 1,900 tons, spans about 89 meters in length with a beam just over 13 meters, and draws around 3.4 meters. That compact footprint matters when the sea is crisscrossed by ferries, wind farms, fishing fleets, and shore-based drones. The ship's faceted, uncluttered geometry and careful exhaust routing help cut signatures that cue enemy sensors. Propulsion is optimized for sprints and efficient patrols rather than ocean crossings, with top speed typically quoted in the 26-28 knot band and economical speed endurance sized for regional seas rather than blue water expeditions. The core crew is lean, on the order of 60 to 75 sailors depending on mission, so every system has to earn its keep in workload and effect. Up front sits a 76mm dual-purpose gun with modern programmable ammunition. It's the flexible tool for warning shots, small boat interdiction, and local counter-drone fires without spending precious missiles. The hard-kill inner layer is a 21-cell ram launcher whose Mach 2+ interceptors are designed to shred inbound sea-skimming missiles and explosive drones inside the last few seconds of flight. The offensive punch comes from deck-mounted canisters for RBS-15 family anti-ship missiles. German K130s are commonly seen with 4 canisters as a baseline fit, though some sources and export analogs cite 8 when space, weight, and configuration permit. Either way, you're talking heavy, sea-skimming rounds with programmable waypointing and terminal seekers designed to slip under radar horizons, and in modern blocks a limited land attack profile against fixed coastal targets. The sensor fit centers on a modern 3D air/surface radar that refreshes tracks quickly against shoreline clutter. Newer Batch 2 hulls field an AESA variant known for higher track rates and better low RCS performance. Electro-optical directors add positive identification and close-range fire control without advertising your position on the airwaves. Add soft-kill decoys and electronic support measures and you have a littoral hunter built around the realities of 2025, drones in multiple domains, pop-up coastal batteries, small adversary craft, and sudden missile exchanges measured in seconds. Put those parts into a scenario and the K130's numbers translate cleanly. A corvette that can sprint at the high 20s, hide in geography and background clutter, and deliver a 4 or 8 missile sea-skimming salvo from well over 100 nautical miles away forces an opponent to spread surveillance and air cover thin across the coast. The ram mount buys a ruthlessly effective last ditch against a leaker, and the 76mm gun with air burst rounds provides a cheap, immediate counter to small surface and low-flying threats. The limitations are equally honest. There's a flight deck but no permanent hangar, so helicopter operations are opportunistic rather than persistent. Magazine depth for air defense missiles is inherently limited by size and mission. The Corvette is built to avoid being targeted, not to soak up an hour-long saturation raid. Endurance matches the theater, not the ocean. In the Baltic and North Sea, those are smart trades that maximize effect per ton and per euro. In the mid-Atlantic, they are constraints you accept. Shift to the Type 123 and the mood changes from knife fight in a phone booth to tempo and reach. Full load displacement sits roughly in the 500 ton bracket, length grows to about 139 meters with a beam near 16 to 17 meters, and draft increases to a little over 6 meters. That volume buys persistence, fuel, fresh water, stores, workshops, spare parts, and the human space you need to keep crews sharp on month-long missions. Propulsion is a combined diesel or gas arrangement that gives you efficient cruising legs at 15 to 18 knots and a sprint in the high 20s, 28 to 29 knots, when threat geometry demands a quick reposition. The crew climbs into the low hundreds so the ship can run a true 24/7 battle rhythm, sustain flight operations, and maintain complex sensors and weapons without burning out. Above deck you'll still find the 76mm gun for flexible, low-cost fires and a ram mount for the inner air defense ring, but the most important weapon on a Brandenburg isn't a missile or a gun, it's the embarked helicopter. A full-size flight deck and hangar let the ship carry and sustain an ASW helicopter with dipping sonar, sonobuoys, and lightweight torpedoes. That extends the ship's kill chain far beyond the horizon of its own hull-mounted sonar and towed array, turning faint acoustic hints into prosecuted contacts. Under the foredeck sits a vertical launch system in the mid-teens of cells, often loaded with medium-range surface-to-air missiles, when quad-packed, that translates to several dozen ready rounds, which thickens the protective, local bubble, around the frigate and its nearest consorts. Twin or triple 324mm torpedo tubes complete the underwater punch when a contact is driven into a kill box. Those numbers matter because submarines change campaigns, not headlines. One torpedo can turn a shipping lane into a political crisis. The Type 123's hull sonar and towed passive array create the listening baseline, the helicopter turns detection into reach and reach into kills, the VLS with medium-range SAMs and RAM give the ship a layered local shield that lets ASW crews work without diving for cover every time a hostile aircraft appears on radar. As an escort, the Brandenburg guards the arteries of a maritime economy, convoys, replenishment ships, high-value units, over weeks at sea. It won't pretend to be the theater air defense flagship, but it wasn't built to be. Its tonnage goes to endurance, to underwater sensors, to aviation support, and to the workspaces and spares that keep all of that humming in foul weather far from home. Then there is the Type 124 Saxon, and here the story becomes about geometry and time. Full load displacement pushes toward the 500, 600, 200 ton band, length to roughly 143 meters, beam around 17 to 18 meters, draft just over 6 meters. The raw speed looks similar to other modern frigates, around 29 knots, but the difference is what that tonnage buys in sensors, magazines, and command spaces. The mast carries a long-range surveillance radar that builds the wide air picture at significant ranges and altitudes, paired with a multifunction radar designed to track many targets precisely and guide multiple interceptors in simultaneous engagements. Below deck, the vertical launch system steps up to the low 30s in strike-length cells. Mix in long-reach missiles for outer layer shots and quad-packed medium-range rounds for raid density management, and you have a guidance quality missile count well into 3 digits before you even touch the 221 cell RAM launchers that lock the inner gate. The 76mm gun remains for utility and counter-UAS work, decoys, and robust electronic war measures provide soft kill layers that steal seeker seconds, and a flight deck plus hangar support a helicopter for surface search, utility, and limited ASW. Inside the skin, spaces sized for command staff and modern battle management systems let a Saxon knit together the air picture from Allied ships, aircraft, and national sensors into a coherent fight. Tactically, those numbers buy freedom of maneuver for everyone else. The long-range radar sees a raid building, cooperative links fuse tracks, the multifunction radar deconflicts and prioritizes, outer layer missiles blunt the first wave, medium-range volleys tear down the survivors, and dual ram mounts hammer the leakers that make it inside the last few kilometers. Programmable 76mm rounds provide a cheap way to rake drones and small surface intruders without dipping into the VLS magazine. The point isn't that the Saxon can win a missile duel by itself forever, it's that it buys the minutes and miles a task group needs to survive one, and then another, while still pushing toward an operational goal. Without that, amphibious groups hug the coast, logistics convoys wait for perfect weather under fighter cover, and deterrence erodes. With it, the formation can act like a fleet, not a collection of targets. Once you line these ships up nose to nose, certain comparisons become practical rather than academic. Displacement tells you how much stuff a hull can carry, fuel, stores, sensors, missiles, and how much damage separation and redundancy you can afford. The K130's 900 tons concentrate combat power into a coastal stalking horse with 4, and in some configurations up to 8, heavy anti-ship missiles, 21 last-ditch air defense shots, a highly responsive 76mm gun, and a radar/EO suite tuned for shoreline clutter. The Type 123's 5,000 tons by a persistent escort, a hangared helicopter that multiplies the ship's reach, a towed array that listens beyond the hull's bow cone, 16 strike-length VLS cells that can translate into several dozen medium-range SAMs when quad-packed, and the crew, shops, and spares to do it all day. The Type 124's 6,000 tons convert into wide-area sensing and a layered magazine depth on the order of 30-plus strike-length cells plus 2 ram mounts, guided by radar and combat systems sized for multi-axis raids. The take-home isn't that bigger is always better, it's that the extra tonnage lets you trade for persistence and layers, which are the currencies of modern naval survival. Propulsion and legs matter too, not because sprint speed wins fights by itself, but because it sets the maneuver envelope. All 3 platforms can run in the high 20s when a geometry problem demands it. The real divergence shows up at endurance speeds. The K130 has the fuel fraction and crew size to own a week plus of independent coastal operations before logistics or fatigue nudge at home. The Type 123 can vanish into the ocean weather for weeks while escorting a route or working a submarine contact with aviation support. And the Type 124's range lets it remain the beating heart of a multinational task group far from German waters without constant refueling theater gymnastics. Those differences cascade into tactics. A Corvette can afford to sit dark in a fjord mouth or behind an island chain, waiting for the perfect coastal strike geometry. A Brandenburg can ride shotgun for a month and still kick into a sprint when a sonar trace demands a closure. A Saxon can pick a station that optimizes its radar horizon for the formation and keep that watch for as long as the operation requires. Air defense is where the numbers on paper often mislead casual observers, because cell counts are not the fight by themselves. The K130's single 21-cell RAM launcher is murderous in its design envelope but exists specifically to erase the last seconds of a missile's life. It's the inner wall of a fort, not the outer screen. The Type 123's battery of medium-range SAMs, when quad-packed into roughly 16 cells, yields several dozen ready interceptors that can protect the ship and immediate neighbors from aircraft and sea skimmers, giving ASW teams breathing room. The Type 124's low 30 cell count looks modest until you remember that each medium-range cell can also be quad-packed, each long-range cell reaches far beyond the local bubble, and the ship carries 2 additional 21-shot ram mounts. The practical effect is a guidance-quality inventory of interceptors big enough to handle multi-salvo, multi-axis raids while still holding shots in reserve. Pair that with radars built for high track counts and you get the thing navies buy at great expense. Time to think. Underwater warfare is the mirror image of that problem set. Here the K130 is deliberately light, hull form, displacement, and mission profile don't support the full ASW toolchain. The Type 123 is heavy with it, hull sonar, towed array, embarked helicopter, lightweight torpedoes, and the crew to run that loop in bad weather. The Type 124 can play in the ASW fight with a helicopter and ship systems, but it is not the platform you assign to the long, patient, hours-long chess match with a quiet diesel boat in a choke point, you want the Brandenburg for that, ideally with a second frigate and maritime patrol aircraft in the mix. In practice, you build a composite screen where the Saxon keeps the sky honest and the Brandenburg drives the undersea threat off balance while the K130s are free to prowl the coastline and make the enemy pay for every exposed radar, pier, and logistics tank. The human dimension rarely makes spec sheets but decides campaigns. A 6,000-ton frigate with a larger CIC, dedicated planning rooms, and better crew services can host a staff, integrate allied liaison officers, and keep specialists effective for months. A 5,000-ton frigate with proper shops, spares, and aviation maintenance spaces can actually fix things at sea, not just write trouble tickets and limp home. A 1,900-ton Corvette keeps the crew small and the routines tight. It accepts limited habitable volume because its missions are close to home, sharp, and short. None of that changes a missile's range, but it changes how many missiles are ready to fire on day 21, and that is the kind of detail that separates theory from operations. Cost and value complete the picture. You can buy more Corvettes than air defense frigates for the same money, put them in more straits, complicate the enemy's reconnaissance picture, and mass anti-ship fires in the littoral at lower operating cost. That's exactly the K130's economic superpower. But a cluster of Corvettes cannot substitute for area air defense when an adversary can mass long-range shooters. That is why the Type 124 exists and why it is top in absolute combat relevance. It enables everyone else by making the air threat survivable at formation scale. Conversely, buying only Saxon leaves you too few hulls to patrol the coast, escort traffic, and grind down submarines over time. That's where the Type 123 earns its keep. If you look at magazines and sensors per ton, you can see the logic of a balanced mix. The Corvette concentrates 8 heavy missiles and 21 interlayer interceptors on under 2,000 tons for coastal shock. The ASW frigate converts roughly 5,000 tons into weeks of presence, a hangared helicopter, and several dozen medium-range SAMs to hold the local sky. The air defense frigate spends roughly 6,000 tons on long-range sensing and a 3-digit interceptor inventory across VLS and RAM to buy minutes, miles, and second chances for the group. If the thumbnail demands a single winner, the honest answer is that each class is best for the fight it was built to win. The K130 is the nearshore striker and presence asset that delivers outsized effects per euro in northern European waters. The Type 123 is the indispensable escort and submarine hunter that keeps maritime arteries open when the news cycle moves on. The Type 124 is the formation-level enabler whose radars and cells turn a vulnerable collection of hulls into a task group that can maneuver under threat. If you forced a fleet commander to pick one for multinational operations under real missile danger, the Saxon would be the first purchase, because it multiplies the value of every other ship by extending vision and raising a shield. If the problem is to defend a long coastline on a tight budget, the K130 would come first, accepting that Allied air power or a partner's area defense frigate must carry the outer shield. If the job is to harden sea lines of communication and quietly attrit enemy submarines while bigger fights rage elsewhere, the Brandenburg is the pick, and you spend the savings on pilots, sonar techs, and spare parts. The numbers, displacement, speed, VLS counts, RAM rounds, helicopter spots, sonars, aren't trivia, they are the grammar of what these ships can and cannot do. Read them that way, and the comparison stops being a beauty contest and becomes what it should be, a plan for winning at sea.